Well, welcome back to racing, everyone. Life in the Peloton is back on the road, and finally I'm back to racing and I can do the real podcast once again, back on the road, back in the life of racing. I've got Lionel to join me again this week. Welcome, Lionel, back to the episode.
Hi, Mitch. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, mate. I've recovered. It feels like I've been on a bit of a grand tour or something. I've only done 2 one-day races, but I got back from those 2 one-day races and I felt like I needed to have a little mini off-season. It was pretty hectic. The racing was hard. It was hard being away from the family. It was hard being back in the old life again.
Well, you say back in the old life again. What is this week's episode all about?
I think this is a really good idea. You came to me with this idea and you said, it could be interesting to get a bit of a diary on your first race back, which at that point I thought was going to be Tour of Poland. My program got changed to Strade Bianche in Milan-Sanremo, and we thought, I don't know, can this idea still work? But it did work brilliantly, because what I didn't think about was this time between. We're in these bubbles now. There is no going home between one-day races. We stayed together for the week in Italy, in a beautiful Tuscan villa, by the way. And it was just a really cool atmosphere. Cool, weird, whatever you want to call it. So I sort of recorded snippets over the whole week and try to give everyone a little tiny insight to what life was like back on the road, or what life is like on the road as a pro cyclist, staying with the team, talking to mechanics, talking to riders before the race, before the recons, after the race, during the week when we were just kicking back as well. It's actually turned out a hell of a lot better than I initially thought it might.
Well, it's a kind of a fly on the wall of the EF Pro Cycling Team bus and inside the magnificent Tuscan villa, which I think you do mention half a dozen times or so through the course of this episode. So it must have been spectacular.
It was actually brilliant. I tell you what, I really did feel lucky there. I was not telling my wife how good it was. I was trying to hold it back, but it was a place I'd love to go to and spend my own money there. It was right in the heart of Tuscany there. Beautiful, vineyards rolling. And I did joke about it. I was like, you know what, with the boys, if we did happen to get locked down here for 2 weeks, it wouldn't be that bad, to be honest. But I tell you what, though, after about a week, it did sort of wear on, and it was nice to move on down to Milan, where we finished Milan-Sanremo, and ultimately it was great to get back home.
So who are we going to hear from in this episode, Mitch?
So I do want to explain this because there's lots of voices in this episode. I've got my teammates first off. We've got Mike Woods, we've got Logan Owen, we've got Lawson, Craddock, Sean Bennett, Magnus Cort Nielsen, Simon Clark and Alberto Bettiol. They're all the teammates who were down there racing Strade Bianche and Sanremo. Sean Bennett was there as an emergency. He ended up filling up for Logan Owen, who dropped out. And ultimately, Sanremo, they dropped a rider out, so we're only down to 6 riders. But we get to hear from everyone. Quite good little dynamics. We also get to hear from the 2 director sportifs, Juan Margarate and Fabrizio Guidi. I also try and talk to as many staff members as we can, and we're talking with also soigneurs Pascal and Sophie, mechanics JJ, George, and also the bus driver Borja. I also get to chat to a few little friends along the way, and other riders. Dan McClay's on there, Roy Sutherland, Armin Jensen, who's from the winning team of both races. He rides for Lotto Jumbo. The winner is Walt Van Aert. So it was interesting talking to him. Also get to chat to Richard Spink, who's a physio for Ineos. It's great hearing his voice on there. Great guy. And Hannah Troop, who's our media girl. She just pops in and out as well. So it's great to hear all these different voices. I really hope you guys enjoy this one, because actually listening back on it, it's a nice little bit of document, and I really enjoy sort of hearing the flow of it, even though I was there for the whole week. So as we take off, I'm sitting in the car here with Lawson Craddock and Mike Woods. Welcome, boys.
Yeah, here we go.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
We've literally just jumped in the cab. We're still in Girona, just pulling out. The first time the 3 of us have been together in a cab this year, I guess.
I haven't seen you in a long time. Might have been February camp.
Yeah. I've spoken to you, but we haven't seen each other. Yeah, that's true.
Law Dog and I left. The last time we left was under much different circumstances.
Oh, yeah.
It felt like the girls were kissing us off to war, because we left for Pyrenees.
Well, you wouldn't have thought this, though. You wouldn't have felt this, because we didn't really know anything. Or did you feel something going to Pyrenees? I can't remember back then.
No, we felt it. Like, it felt like we were going to war.
Sanremo, we're both off the cards, and so it's kind of like the dominoes were falling. So it's actually a very similar feeling now, you know, going off to races, just like the uncertainty of nothing.
Woodsy, tell me what you were just telling me then. As we drive out, potentially you could be away for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 6 weeks. How does that work?
So there's a lot of ifs, but if some of these ifs line up, it's July 29th today, and I won't be home till October 10th.
Why?
Well, so I'm supposed to stay within the bubble for all the way to Sanremo, but then go to a new bubble for Lombardia. Then from Lombardia, I'm supposed to go to the tour camp. So tour camp, I'm not allowed leaving the bubble, so I have to go to the tour camp. And that ends August 27th. Tour starts August 29th. If I do the tour, then 29th to July 20th or whatever. Then straight from there to Worlds to Ardennes. Ardennes end October 10th.
And then Vuelta, just to cap things off. Are you on Down Under? You must just get going.
I'm just staying in the bubble. Just bubble wrap me, buddy.
What does it look like for you, Lord Dog? What are you doing? Now we're driving away for what?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're heading to Strade. I do Sanremo. I'm supposed to come back to Girona, and it's not nearly as extreme as Woodsy. I'll actually be able to come home, and then really my next race is Tirreno. So I'll get some solid time at home with the girls, and then head back off Tirreno, and then, you know, World Champs possibly. And
so you're a little bit like me, just get a week away with the boys, have a bit of fresh air.
Oh yeah, spend some time in the Tuscan sun. I mean, like, really, I can't complain.
I've booked up a couple of wine tours. Hopefully we can do tomorrow. I only want to do 2 tomorrow and maybe 3 on Friday.
Yeah, sounds good. You'll know where to find me.
In your room?
Yeah.
Solo?
Oh my gosh. Do we have solo rooms though?
Yeah.
Yep, we do.
Yeah.
But like, see, this is where I get so confused, is like, you know, like, we're in contact with each other. We're constantly in contact with each other, and then like, oh, we get solo rooms, which is like, don't get me wrong, that's great to have, like, your own privacy, but I don't know, there's so much that contradicts each other. Like, you look at Alex Dowsett not starting Burgos because he came in contact with someone who came in contact with someone who had it, and you're like, yeah, but he spent, you know, the entire run into that race with his team, traveling and eating and all this stuff. And like, yeah, he doesn't take the start, but at that point, I feel like the whole team shouldn't take the start. If there's a possibility that he has it, it's a possibility that everyone he's come in contact with has had it.
Well, it goes back to then, like, there's a possibility we've all got it from just going down the supermarket yesterday and whatever, you know. It's, I don't know. Anyway, look, we're on the road. The wheels are turning. And like you guys said, let's see how far we go. Could be the airport turnaround. Could be Milan, grab a pizza and flip it, which won't be too bad.
Yeah.
Or we could be doing the whole hog like Woodsy, coming back in end of Down Under. So we've arrived at the airport, and it's pretty quiet, and the rest of it's just like an airport.
It still looks the same, just less people.
It's nice. It's quite nice. Less people pushing you.
Yeah. Took about 4 minutes to get through.
I think we just set a new Strava. All right, Woodsy, let's paint the picture here. We're just travelling to the race. We've got the masks on. What's the feeling? What are you feeling? What's it like?
I don't think it'd be extraordinarily weird if it wasn't for the reference points that I already have. Like, Barcelona airport's always pretty busy. There's lots of people. We were just sitting outside, having a coffee in the shade, and normally that whole area is just packed with smokers. Still a lot of smokers, but far fewer than normal. Everything about the airport is just quiet. You can kind of just feel this is not normal. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm imposing that as well, but just being here many times, it's just so much more quiet, so much more eerily quiet than what it normally is.
It feels like New Year's Day morning.
Yeah. I've actually flown out of here Christmas, the day after Christmas, 26th of December, to go to Oz, Similar vibe, like just dead.
Minus the masks.
Minus the masks, exactly.
All right, as we go, this is something that I felt this morning as we drove down to meet each other to get in the cab. I, for such a long time, as you did all this training, and actually towards the end of it, started hating doing the long rides and just like, God, I'm over it. I can't wait to go racing. All of a sudden this morning, I'm driving down, I finally get to go racing, and I got nervous. I saw someone heading out on a long day, and I looked across at him, and I couldn't help but think in the back of my mind, oh, it'd be nice to go out and do 6-7 hours today. And then I caught myself and went, what are you doing? You would hate to do 6-7 hours today. That's what you've been hating the last few months. And all of a sudden, because I've got something else and that the pressure's going to be on, I wanted what I couldn't have. Are you feeling that weird sort of like anxious sort of pressure? You want it, but now we've got it?
Yeah, totally. I mean, this is going to be my first race back after breaking my femur.
Yeah.
Racing's not training. And regardless of how good you train, you don't know how you stack up as a racer until you race. I mean, you can try and mimic it. You do motor pacing, you do that kind of stuff. But there's a reason why there's a difference between just because you can nail Zwift or just because you can put out a good comm or a Strava file doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a great racer. And because we've all been a bit rusty, there are a bit of cobwebs in the racing skills department. I think it's natural to feel that nerves. I'm feeling those nerves.
And there was a cop-out with Zwift, with Strava. You can always just pull out and go, oh, it doesn't really matter. But now it matters.
People are watching. You know, if you cop out on like a training session, maybe your coach sees the file. That's it. There's no one else holding you accountable. And I think that pressure, I think everyone's going to be feeling that. And I think it's going to be why it's going to be a crazy race on Saturday. I think guys are going to be more nervous, more sketchy than normal. They're guys on contract years that want it more. This is going to be like going back to like 0.1, 0.2 level racing where there's just a bit more desperation.
Yet with World Tour legs. What gate are we at?
Please remain seated with your seatbelt securely fastened until the seatbelt sign has been switched off. We recommend you keep your seatbelt fastened whenever you are seated. When the seatbelt sign is switched off, you may use larger electronic devices. Please be careful when opening the overhead lockers.
All right, we've made it to the other side. We're here in Florence, and along the way we've picked up some passengers. Richard Spink. Welcome, Spinky. Welcome to the pod.
Oh, hello. Absolute pleasure to be on this pod. I've been a long since admirer, and actually to be on it live, this is something else.
Mate, I was happy to see you on the flight. Always a good guy to catch up with. But apart from our social aspects, what do you think so far of your experience? This is your first travel?
This is the first travel since February, since Provence. So yeah, first time being on a plane for a while. But it's actually surprisingly smooth. Pretty quiet at the airport. Everyone's distancing and being respectful. Obviously masks everywhere and lots of hand washing, but so far so good.
What are you expecting once we leave here? The travel to the race, the hotel time. You just sort of pointed out to me you might be able to get out for a cheeky run, and I was thinking I envy that, because I'm sort of predicting that once we get to the hotel we're going to be like, not quarantined, but quarantined in the room, unless we go out for a ride, which will probably be tomorrow. What have you heard? Anything? What we're going to be able to do and not do? And
no, I've not heard much. It just depends on what the lads will be requiring treatment-wise. I know we're on a golf course, so that might give us a bit more flexibility for the sneak out for a run. But yeah, it'll all be down to team regulations, and I'll be towing the line.
I thought you were going to say a cheeky 18 then.
Well, you've seen a cheeky one or two, a cheeky hook, and I'll be walking all around the rough, so no, that won't last long.
Beautiful, mate. Well, hopefully I can check in with you. I don't think we're in the same hotel, are we?
I don't think, not this one, but hoping at one stage. If it's down to two teams only, there's not much chance, eh?
Cheers,
the odds are stacked against us. Cheers.
Well, let's go get these bags. So we're here. Let's do it. The Bubble Boys and now girl, Hannah Troop, has joined us along the way. And what I was just saying before I forgot to press record was, I thought it was going to be a much more rigorous process getting into Italy. It was just a simple question of, have you been in Europe the last 2 weeks? And what did you answer, Woodsy?
Well, actually, I thought, I have been in Europe for the last 2 weeks. But I actually thought like that was kind of, I wasn't prepared for that, going in Italy and having those people ask me where I've been. but they're going on Scout's honor. I could have lied.
When you say you weren't prepared for it, were you just like, oh my God, what am I going to say?
Yeah, I always get a bit nervous around authority. Like, I don't know what it is. It's like whenever I go through a border, I'm always like not sure what I'm supposed to say. Even when I'm telling the truth, I feel like I'm doing something wrong.
So you're just like, yes,
yeah,
I got through it.
Yeah.
So Anna, what's been your experience so far of the whole process? Now we're back in our little comfort zone. You just said before, I've had my test.
Negative, double negative, no antibodies, which I was a little bit disappointed. I was hoping I was going to have some kind of superhuman COVID power and have antibodies without having had it, but unfortunately not.
And now we're going to have another test on our bus. Is that right?
I'm not the doctor. Oh yeah, I don't know.
No, but what have you? What I've been told is that our protocol is come in here, test, because we could have potentially picked up something along the way. So I guess, how long does that test take?
Has Borja got to shove things up our nose?
The email said Pascal, whose medical background is supposed to do the test. I assume we send it off, and then it takes... I think we do it now because 3 days before the race, and we should have the results by the time the race starts.
Is that our 3 day before the race test?
Yes.
I think it will be back within 24 hours.
Yeah, but they have to send... My understanding is we send it to this Danish laboratory, and they have to test it. So, I don't know. A lot of uncertainty, as with everything this year.
And we're just commenting on the race. Let's get to the racing. It's going to be hot.
I just said to Lawson, I asked him, I said, do you think that in the Peloton on Saturday, people are going to be like, okay, dudes, let's just keep this chill for the first few hours. It's really hot. What did you say, Lawson?
Absolutely not.
I love that naiveness. I would love that. Yeah, guys, hey, wait a sec. It's the first race back. It's gravel in like 10K. How about we just keep it chill, Chippo style, and when the TVs come on, hang on, they're already on. Oh, let's race, let's go.
Apparently not going to happen, is it?
Alright, so we've done the 2 recons. Now we're travelling back in the bus. Yesterday was a longer recon. Today was a shorter recon. And we've had 2 guys join us, Magnus and Sean. They weren't there yesterday, so Magnus only got to do today the shorter recon, the easy stuff. Maggie's haven't ridden Strade Bianche before. What were your thoughts today, mate, riding over the gravel again?
Yeah, it's nice. It's in general, it's good gravel roads. What I saw, those first 4 sectors, there's still some holes, and when you sit in the bunch, it's not gonna be easy for sure. It's always tricky when you do it alone. In a small group, you see all the holes and you feel confident, and then you sit in the bunch, and yeah, it's pretty crazy.
What do you think about doing it in summer? Like, because last time you did it, it was in the spring, and different feeling today being on the white roads in the heat.
Yeah, but they were also dry the other time I tried it. I think that's the biggest difference if the weather are dry. The temperature will for sure be something, but that's the same on you on dust or not. But yeah, dry roads is to prefer.
And more importantly, we're back in the bus. What does it feel like being back in the bus, back on tour, back with the boys?
Yeah, it feels good. Yeah, something I've really missed. I'll have a long trip around now, 8 weeks, I believe, if everything goes as planned. So it's just getting back into it.
So Logan Owen, who was there with us on freshman on a Grandi, last time I spoke to Logan, got through the Vuelta, as we all know. Next time I end up catching up with him, well, briefly at the training camp, but now, almost a year later, we're doing Strade Bianche. Yesterday, mate, we had a big recon, and you coming out of cold Belgium, how'd you find it?
I did not find it so fun. I did not enjoy the heat at all. So yeah, I struggled a lot. The roads are fun, but I will not be racing now because I'm a shit man in the heat.
Yeah, that's the thing that you told me is like, look, training's been going good. I'm feeling really good. I've been setting good numbers, but one thing you underestimated, I think also me. I knew it was going to be hot here, but I did not expect it to be, like you said, 40 degrees or whatever, the high 30s. And I underestimated too. Only that I'd been in Spain. I think I had a little bit of an upper hand than you. But that was something you said you underestimated, coming from Washington, which was a bit colder.
Yeah.
Then Belgium, which is, look, I'm not going to say it's freezing there, but it's just not quite 40 degrees, is it?
No, I haven't seen above 23, 24 degrees all year. So coming from that straight into 100 degrees, so 40 degree weather here, it's not fun.
Tell me what you felt out there. For anyone who doesn't really know what it's like being on the white roads in the heat, what did it feel like yesterday?
Just felt like I was melting, and you have a headache, and you start seeing things eventually, and you can't tell if there's rocks in front of you or if it's actual road. You don't know what's happening. I was zigzagging all the way home.
So what do you predict for the race then? Now knowing how hot it was yesterday and today, what are you thinking tomorrow? Because we're not starting till 1:30.
I think people are going to be seeing stars pretty early. I think people that have had the best heat adaptation they're probably going to be the best towards the end. So it's just going to be about managing the heat. But people are going to be pulling out and cramping pretty early, I think.
It's going to be crucial to get those bottles. We've actually got grip tape inside our bidden cages now because we lost a few bottles yesterday, and I think in the other times of the year, I'm not going to say it's not a problem, but you can always push on to another sector and get the next bottle. But tomorrow I think it's going to be crucial. Could be almost that point. If you miss that bottle, it can almost be done, don't you reckon?
Yeah, I think your race could be over if you miss a bottle. Like it's that crucial. And it's definitely crucial to have people out there feeding you and supporting you. So it's going to be difficult to see the car. You'll see it maybe once in the race, and that's about it.
So you're going to be well hydrated watching the race tomorrow, potentially with some nice ales by the pool at our beautiful hotel?
Potentially, yes. I definitely will be enjoying the race from the comfort of the beautiful hotel we're staying in.
All right, so I'm up the front of the bus now, sitting next to my friend, the bus driver, and also Juan Margarate, my director, one of our directors here at Strade Bianche. And believe it or not, I stepped out of the car yesterday during the recon and asked Juanma, what was your best result here, mate? How did you like this race? And I found out at that moment he was a virgin to the race and seeing the white roads for the very first time himself. How did you actually find it, Juanma?
I'm the rookie here, mate. It's going to be the first time ever. I mean, I never did it as a rider. I never did it as a DS. I saw a couple of times in TV the race, but yeah, I never did it before, and I'm excited, honestly. I think it's going to be really difficult for the first time to drive the car here in the middle of the dust. And I mean, I saw the race, the parkour, like a really technical, not one single meter flat. I'm really surprised about that because it is a real hard race. It's really adapted for climbers with good skills driving the bike. It's harder than I expected.
Did you not do the Strade Bianche when it was in the Giro that year?
No, I don't think so, no.
So, as you saw the course, like, this is definitely, I knew it was going to be a hilly course. First time I'm here, and it was harder than I thought. But I think that was because back in the day when they first had it riding, a lot of classics riders did it. And so my opinion was it was a classics race. But as the years have gone on, a lot of people have cottoned on and gone, actually, climbers can win this race. What was another point, and something that I've noticed now, this race being in summer, I think it's going to have another element that hasn't been seen before. Like, we're talking about the bottles. I think if you miss a bottle now, that could be crucial and maybe the end of your race.
If you do here with the heat we have at the moment, if you do like 15 kilometers without a bidon, you are out of the game. Even if you drink 2 bottles straight away, you are not going to recover anymore. And I mean, my impression is like it's going to be like a Liège-Bastogne-Liège. Of course, maybe it's 100 kilometers shorter, or not 100, but 80 kilometers shorter. But you add that it's really more technical. So it's going to cost you really a lot of energy, drive the bike, stay focused on your bottles, bidons. As you said, if you miss one, you are totally out of the game. It's in the 11 a.m. is 31, 32 degrees, and it's going to arrive almost close to 40 with a lot of humidity. You are sweating really a lot, and that's why we are going to have people everywhere in all the sectors, in the middle and at the end, with bidons, because otherwise it's impossible to come back to the car, to call the car to assist you guys.
And also, what is your feeling now being back on the road with the bus, with the boys? My initial feeling was it's going to be really weird, it's going to be really different, but literally after about 2 hours or 3 hours, it felt like I'd never left. Have you got that feeling?
Yeah, the only thing I was dizzy there, sitting in the back of the bus. That's why I came into the front in the last couple of minutes, because I lost the frequency of travels here with Borja, and now I think it's, as you said, I mean, in a couple of days we are again into the rhythm, and it's like,
we never left.
Yeah, exactly.
And Borja,
Yeah.
welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
I'm not going to take too much of your concentration because you're driving a bus here full of us, and we're on Italian roads with crazy people coming past. But how's it feel having the bus full again? All the boys behind being annoying. Is it good?
Yeah, it's a good sensation after 3 months at home, man.
And are we more work than the kids, or are the kids more work at home?
Oh my God, what a question. 50-50.
Really, I think we're harder. All right, boys, give me some post-race thoughts. Woodsy,
That was the scariest race of my life.
anything more than that? Run me through why.
It was bonkers. It was a fight from like neutral. Neutral was crazy, and then when we hit the first sector, you couldn't see anything. And then I got a puncture, and I was in the cars, and I couldn't see shit. Like I literally couldn't see anything. I was just going on a hope and a prayer. FDJ car almost like smoked me at one point, dude. It was not the first race to do after you break your femur.
That's a good call. Tell me about...
But actually maybe it is. Yeah, think about every other race now. You're going to be like, this is just a breeze.
True. Lombardy is gonna feel so safe.
Sanremo is going to be boring as hell next week. Tell me about then afterwards, once you got through that first initial hectic part, what was it like once you rolled over the climbs and the bunch had sort of thinned out? Things pretty calm then, pretty cruisy, just a day out on the gravel?
No, it was full gas all day, man. It was insane. It was just a crazy day. It was so hard from the get-go. I've never raced a race like that, I don't think.
What about the heat?
Savage. So hot.
It wasn't that hot, was it?
What about you, Law Dog? You rolled in. You managed to be one of the lucky 42 that actually finished the race. Tell me about your day.
I saw Woodsy coming up at the end. I just realized I got to beat him. You don't get many chances to take down Mike Woods in the America's Cup. But I mean, yeah. That was my first Strade, and I have to say that was mind-blowing. It was just so... I've never done a race so intense from the get-go. The course itself, you take the gravel out of it, it's still hard. Yeah. When you put the gravel in there and you just... The way we raced it today was just basically just attacking every sector, and... my gosh.
What about you, Sean? Tell me about your first Strade.
Second Strade.
Sorry, second Strade, first summer Strade is what I meant to say.
Dusty. I was just drinking grit every time I took a sip of water.
What was the difference today? What made it so much harder than a normal one?
I think the heat. I mean, it was like, as soon as everyone started going hard, it was just, I couldn't catch up on water and just fully cramped up.
Did you have some time back in the cars for a while to experience that dust storm?
Yeah, just kind of I came back through the cars once, and it was terrifying. I mean, I don't know if you're coming back through and you don't know if the car can see you because there's so much dust, and you only really see the brake lights of the cars. It's wonderful.
And the thing with the gravel is too, what I've sort of worked out is you sort of got to be preempt the corner, really brake. You can't come into a corner late and brake because obviously you just slip out. So that was actually what was happening in the fog, wasn't it?
Yeah, a bit. It was. I mean, the corners just came up so much quicker, and there's so many where you see like 5-10 guys, or not 10 guys, like 5 guys off in the side just trying to break into it like it's a normal corner and just go wide because there's no traction. Saw that a lot, and then yeah, especially coming through the cars, you can't see much, and you kind of, when you see the car brake lights go, you just kind of really have to let up early.
Maggie, run me through your day, mate, because you're up the front there. You were jumping in some moves early on. I thought, hang on here. Is Maggie trying to slip up the road? What happened at the very start? And then tell me about what happened afterwards.
Oh, and the early start, I had ice on my back and an extra bottle of water to pull over me, so I was feeling quite good. I helped out Sean a little bit. He was good covering the moves, but I slipped in a few ones. So I was thinking, if you get in there for free, I wouldn't mind it.
I was thinking that too. When I heard your name up there, I was like, that's not a bad idea.
No, but in the end, it was not my job, and I didn't really use much power. The heat took it out of me eventually.
But then what happened on the sectors? Like, you've been here before. How did you actually feel on the gravel in comparison to last time?
No, I feel good on the gravel. I liked it. It's only second time. For sure, I really want to come back now. Like, in terms of the bike, I felt comfortable, but I couldn't manage with the heat. And at some point, I got dropped and was sitting with Woodchie that finished. And actually, I also wanted to do that, but it was not possible. I was not in a position where I could ride the last 50 Ks.
Tell me about what you was telling me before about the gravel in comparison to cobbles for you, and the difference that you feel. Because I think a lot of people who have never ridden this, even myself, the only thing you compare it to is cobbles, but actually it's completely different. Why is it different, and why is it different for you?
Yeah, I think I also maybe tend to compare the sectors a bit to cobbles, but for me it's different. I think on the cobbles I'm perhaps a bit too careful. Take a bit too safe maybe in some of the corners of the straight. I'm not sitting close enough, so I end up losing one position after the other, just slowly falling back through the bunch. And here on the gravel, I think the first time I was here, I was also doing well on the gravel, and now again, as long as I was in the bunch, it was going good for me. I was finding my way to the front, and
you can just use your power a bit more and move around guys in comparison to the cobbles.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the power. I think just brake later, you take a couple of spots on the downhill, and I felt I was in control, and in general I was able to move faster than other guys that took it more easy here on the gravel.
All right, we've got Mr. Strade Bianche here himself, Simon Clark. Mate, tell me about your day. Tell me how it was. Tell me the comparisons, the feelings.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing was the dust. I tried to sit back like I normally do the first 4 sectors, and even at 40th or 50th wheel, you just nearly, it wasn't quite like in the convoy, but you were breathing a lot of dust, and it was not ideal.
Comparison to other Strades, way different, was it?
In terms of dust, it was way, probably at least double as dusty. Yeah. I still wanted to stick to my plan of saving energy than busting it out up the front there in those early sectors with, as you now know, such a hard race still to come. So I stuck with that, and I was feeling good, and everything went pretty smooth for me up until the double sector with just before the feed zone, and Alaphilippe and a couple of others attacked on the descent, and we weren't there, and so I followed Fuglsang and Van Aert and rode across to the front.
On the descent or afterwards?
Next kicker, the second kicker on the last section before the feed zone, and although I was feeling good, I just went into the red and never came back out. And I mean, it's hard to make those decisions where it's like, do you push and be in the race, or risk not being in the race but saving the legs? And ultimately it was probably the other option, but it's easy to say that sitting on the bus after the race.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think what you're saying there is hard to know, because we don't actually race a race like this so intense in such hot conditions. Like I was saying before, with the Vuelta, it's intense at the end, but you finish the race the last 30k. This was intense at the start, and in the Vuelta, say, you go to the red, but you finish the race. Here, like you said, you go to the red, but you still got 50, 60k to go. So I felt like for me it was uncharted territory. And when I went into the red, I went, yeah, okay, that's cool, I've been in the red, but I'll just go back in there. But you couldn't do that. And I found that out only in the moment, as sounds like you did. All right, it's the morning after. Alberto Bettiol was our star yesterday. I got the chance to witness the last part on TV, unfortunately, but fortunately. Mate, can you tell me about your day yesterday, how it felt for you to be back racing, but again, to show the form on your home roads?
Yeah, yesterday was a really fantastic day for me. I was super excited to race after such a long period, and especially in my home roads. I was feeling good yesterday. Maybe I could play a little bit better my cards, but anyway, I'm happy to what I did and to attack after so many times. I felt was good to see also a lot of crowds, a lot of people cheering for me and on the road, and was a really special moment yesterday.
Tell me about the bottles, because I don't think a lot of people understand that we had maybe 2 or 3 people every sector, and they were locals. They were friends of Fabrizio Guidi. Were they friends of yours? People out there giving the bottles?
Yes, they were all ex-professional, and the one old man, Marcello, was my former DS when I was amateur, and also of Fabrizio. So 2 generations of when Fabrizio Guidi was a rider in amateur, he was the director, and few years after he was also my director. So yeah, it was really special, and was so important to find in every sector 2-3 guys with bottles and wheels in case of flat tire. Probably from television you see everything smooth, but behind there is a big work of a lot of people. My family was there, my father, my brother, my best friend, and yeah, it's nice. Every year they come, but unfortunately it's the first time that I make a good result here, because the last years I was a little bit unlucky, because this race is so beautiful, but at the same time also dangerous, and a lot of things can happen. So you have to find the good day, and fortunately yesterday I found a good day. I could be better, could be worse, but I'm really happy. Again, I have no regrets, and this 4th place, I'm really happy with this 4th place.
G'day, mate. JJ back on the mic. Welcome back to the pod, JJ.
Thank you. Nice having me again.
So, mate, we're kicking back in the villa here in Tuscany. How you been enjoying that?
It's something different. I think for me, was super excited to go back to racing. But yesterday was just a completely different race. I cannot describe it. Or it was basically a race that I've never done before, but it was also one that I really liked. And the way it turned out and what the conditions are like, and which was really good.
What was your job yesterday? Because you're one of the mechanics. What was your role yesterday?
So I was yesterday in sectors.
Yep.
So I was doing three points yesterday. Basically doing some feeding, but also having spare wheels and stuff. If he needs wheels from me, I can give them to him. But yeah,
restock the car, you mean?
Yeah, restock the car if we ran out of wheels and like that. But otherwise, I was just like a sector person with bottles and everything.
Do you mind doing that? Because I can imagine, it's nice being in the car, it's hectic, but sometimes it's difficult to know what's going on in the race. When you just do the sectors, you get a bit of a feel of the race, the atmosphere. What do you think?
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it, because it's something I'm never used to, and it's something I also would like to do in the classics, just to see one day how it really is for guys that's just going and doing sectors and running around, which was nice. But you also get to see the race for that few seconds and how it plans out and what's going on, which was nice.
And you see I wonder if he's going to get across. You get to the next sector, he made it. Oh, we're back in the race.
Yeah, so it's really I think it's not a big stress on this race, because there's not a lot of sectors or to cover for people. So we had enough time to get to the next sector, But it's weird because you're not used to it. Like, okay, now we need to go. We cannot wait for more people. Let's go. Because there's like, say, there's a feed zone just up the road from other people, so they will get something there. But we need to get to the next point because of the riders in front.
What are you going to do this week now? We've got 6 days before Sanremo. What's the plan this week?
We'll basically go through everything. Also then changing the new tyres onto the 40s. So preparing all the wheels for Sanremo. Because we were running 28 yesterday, so we need to change to 26 or 25s, I think.
Are they going to be tubeless or tubes, or what's the go?
Tubeless. So basically all the tubeless, we're preparing the 40 millimeter wheels with tubeless, and then also that gives us also for Dauphiné next, which this truck will do.
Do we put sealant in the tyres?
At the moment, no. It's only we have a sponge inside. I can't go into detail about it because it's always a secret to other teams. But yeah, that's basically our safety, and you can still ride it on the.
Yeah, so when it flats, it doesn't just go straight to tyre.
No, you still have that little bit. It feels like you almost got like 2 bars in your tyres, so you can still ride with it wherever you need to go.
It's quite good. I punched yesterday and it was nice. I didn't know I had a puncher until I went around 2 corners, and then you sort of felt the back slip out. And you're like, "Well, I've got a puncher." So it was. You could have ridden it quite a long way.
Yeah, that's basically the purpose of that inner, if I can put it that way, is basically to help you get to some point where you can get a new wheel or something like that, or in future. I think that's what we're going to go. And it's also a safety thing because of tubeless, like what we're using. If you don't use that foam insert and the tyre is deflated and it comes off, you may crash.
Why don't you use sealant in road tyre tubeless? Because like gravel tyres and mountain bike tyres use sealant, don't you?
Yeah, we do. We prepare the tyres a little bit different to what the normal tubeless regulation, well, not regulation, but what they recommend to us. So we basically brush the tyres with sealant before. So it dries out. So just like the small bubbles or air escaping, we just basically seal that off. And then that's something we're experimenting now, because it's obviously tubeless is a new thing on the road for us. Just to make sure, is it working, is it not working, do we need to put sealant, do we not need to put sealant. And it's also like if you put sealant, because like now we've been off for 3 months, like it dries out, so we have to change the tyres, even though the tyres are still brand new.
Alright, so we're out at the truck, couple days after Strade, just got back from our training rides. Boys have been busy. I'm talking with Georgie Boy, the mechanic. He was the main man behind the race car on the day. The dust has settled, George. What can you remember from the dust storm, from being behind Strade Bianche?
So it's like to roll on the snow. The bikes are all white. Yeah, it's a special day. We lose so many time to wash the bikes, to clean really well, because if we don't take all the dusty out, then we will damage the old bearings, all the system of the bike.
What about the bottom brackets? Did you have to replace them?
The bottom brackets, we have still to check the bottom brakes, but the wheels we will replace already three bearings from the wheels, from the 8 sets of the race.
Completely replace. You didn't clean them?
No, we replace them because they are not good.
So give me an example. After a normal one-day race, would you expect to replace any bearings?
No. Normal race, normally if you have a normal weather, we wash the bikes, we just put oil in the chain, we check everything, but the bearings have to be good after normal race. So in the day of the race we have three flat tires, then in the end of the race we check all the wheels and we have one more is also flat. We have also lucky because we don't have any crashes, and the bikes work so well, I think. But the feedback we have to you guys is good.
What did you see back in the convoy? Were there any car crashes? Were there any fights between the cars?
Yes, we see two accidents. Yeah, two. Yeah.
Who?
Bocha, the German team, and I think Frances de Jeu also smash cars.
But can you understand that? Because it was pretty hard to see back there.
For sure, because from five meters away we don't see anything. all the cars have the intermittent lights. All the lights are on. Anyway, we can see anything. The first thing we can see from the car is the bikes above of the car.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good way to look.
Yeah.
I should have done that. So I'm in the food room. It's actually a massage room, a designated room that gets also snacks in it. It's the most visited room. And this is Pascal's room. Is that a good thing or not a good thing, Pascal?
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because you can see the face of the riders when they came for the food.
And they look through your suitcase and jump on your bed and mess up your whole room. Do you mind that? You don't mind?
No.
Oh, that's good. Where is your suitcase? So, Pascal, as I speak, I'll paint the picture. I've got Magnus here on the table. Maggie, hey.
Hello.
It's a Monday afternoon. It's a lazy Monday, lazy lunes. I've just had my massage. It's raining outside. We're in a Tuscan villa. Magnus is laying back getting a nice massage. Pascal's here giving a massage. Is that the relaxed feeling so far this week?
It's more or less relaxed because they have tomorrow long day, they and you. And today is like, we will see tomorrow.
What are you doing tomorrow? We've got 220k. Are you going to come with us?
No, I don't think so. The mechanic and yes, I will be here.
Doing what?
Doing waiting you.
Swimming in the pool, maybe a long lunch, a beer.
No, we have to go to the supermarket to buy the food for Milan-Sanremo.
Quite a lot of food we need too. Magnus, how have you recovered from the race? How did you feel today?
Oh, I felt good today. We had a bit over 3 hours today on the bike and had some small sprints. I feel ready for tomorrow, but it will be a big day.
I was following you in some of those sprints, and I tell you, the big man's going. He is going out there. He's moving well. It's going to be fun tomorrow, actually. I think we've all really enjoyed the relaxed time in the hotel, but there comes a point where we want to just go into a nice training day, and maybe we can have a quiet beer tomorrow night. That'd be nice.
All right, I'm out here doing a training ride and I'm with one of my heroes, Andrea Taffy, on his training roads. Andrea, how does it feel to be riding with us on your roads or having us ride with you?
For me, it's an honor to stay this morning together with you and a lot of a champion. That's something too special. And it's an honor for me, you right on my road.
Hey, I tell you what, I'm sitting in the bunch with him and we're doing turns for turn. And I got a real feeling what it's like to be back riding with him in the Peloton. It was a cool feeling. We spoke about Roubaix, we spoke about Mapei, and now I feel like we should talk about Lombardia. We're going up this climb and he's cruising. He's on a Colnago. Tell me, you were telling me before, the dream to ride Roubaix again. What was your idea to ride Roubaix again, one more time?
Yes, I think some 2 years ago, but now is really very difficult. But it's my dream. I'm sure not possible, but okay.
But because you wanted to see the difference, the times have changed. Not to win Roubaix, but to see the difference. Well, we've got 2k to go. Let's concentrate on the climb. Yeah?
I'm really concentrated because for me it's hard now. For you, okay, joke, but for me, push hard. But I'm very happy.
We're in the vans, we're in the cars, travelled up to Milan yesterday, and now we're doing essentially a race day. Law Dog, what are we doing today, mate?
Yeah, like you said, we made it to Milan. We got Sanremo on on Saturday. So with the course change, with everything, we've driven out to scout the about 100K of the course that we haven't seen. So it should be interesting. It makes for a long day, but I mean, with a race that we've never seen the course before, I think it's pretty crucial. So should be good.
Have you done Sanremo before?
Yeah, I raced it last year. So for me, it's actually, I wouldn't say it's like a massive change of course, just because only doing it once, I haven't come to expect the same style and same course of racing year in, year out. So for me, it'll definitely be interesting to see. On paper, it doesn't look all that different, but you really just never know until you get out on the road.
How's your week been between Strade and Sanremo, the holiday week, a week away in Tuscany?
Yeah, it sounds nicer than it's been for sure. I definitely was excited to come get back into the racing scene, but as with most things, maybe your expectations, your reality just aren't quite the same. And something that we've talked about a lot over the last week or two since being here, but we really haven't been able to leave the kind of confines of the hotel. A lot of times just been in the room, and meals aren't, they're just different. Life in bike racing is just so different these days, and I don't know if it's something that has been incredibly enjoyable. While it's nice to kind of have a change of scenery, I think we're lucky to have that, but it's still been a lot of added stress around our lifestyles of just constantly making sure we're keeping our distance from other hotel guests and not touching anything in the hotels, and not being able to leave and feeling almost guilty just for going for a walk around the park. So it's a different life that we've all come to know in cycling.
Tell me tell everyone what our dinner situation was. Sounds pretty simple, but it's funny, with 6-7 riders, it turned into quite a long process. How did we have dinner?
Yeah, normally it's kind of buffet style that we usually have, and everyone kind of goes and pigs out and grabs whatever they want and goes back for more whenever they want and everything. But now we've got a soigneur that basically just foregoes their meal for the entire time that we're eating, and just hovers around the buffet table that we have prepared separately for us, with gloves and mask and everything, and they'll basically just dish out what we want. And the process of relative ease that we've had in the past is now gone, and now it's just, okay, I'll take a spoonful of this and a spoonful of this and one piece of chicken here and a little bit of sauce with rice here. And so just the process of getting your food now takes at least 5 minutes a person, and it's just strange.
Do you think that could be the way forward with the team doctors coming in? And because what I noticed is, when you serve yourself, no one's really taking care, and it's easy just to slip a bit of this in, slip a bit of that, and ultimately it's your decision. But now with someone else serving your food, I'd be tempted to get a little bit smaller portion size, and you're a little bit hesitant, going, you know what, give me an extra buffalo mozzarella, give me an extra this. So ultimately we'll sort of keeping on the lighter sides this week. Do you think this could be a way forward? Team doctors might get on this and be like, hang on, I don't mind this idea.
I sure hope not. It's definitely, you definitely a different level of accountability, which is, I don't know, it's strange, and everyone is different, and everyone kind of, beats to the tune of their own drum in this sport, and part of like the enjoyment is doing what makes you happy and doing what helps you the most.
Back in our seats, in our comfort zone, Woodsy's tucking into the rice. Let's see what Maggie's a couple seats in front of me. Maggie, you've ridden Sanremo a few times before, 3 times before. You got to know the old course. You liked it. What do you think of this?
Yeah, I like the old one. This one is different, but not too different. I think obviously you have some climbing now closer to the real final with the small hills there. But I think it will be more or less the same. They are not hard enough to do a big difference, the new climbs. So I think we'll see the same final as usual.
Yeah, they weren't super hard. Like, I'm not going to say I'm going to be driving the pace up there, but they were fast. There was no real tight corners, so I wasn't going to pinch the bunch or anything. Even training on them, they still felt fast, didn't they?
Yes, for sure. It's a reasonable, good road, and they were really steep. That second climb we do. I think looking at the profile just quickly, you think it's a climb. You're climbing a fair bit of meters, but it's over a long time, and just dragging up through a valley. So when you're there, it goes fast, and you sit well on the wheels.
How are you feeling, mate? Week since Strade almost. You've had a nice week in the hotels. I needed today to feel a bit fresher, a bit faster. Are you feeling ready for a completely different race Saturday?
Yes, I'm feeling ready. The temperature suits me much better now. Hopefully it will not be too warm when we race. Strade Bianche was special in that heat, but I feel good.
Sparky, second time reconning the course. Feel the same as last time?
Yeah, I reconned the last... Fortunately, the only part of the old course that they didn't change. So that was pretty lucky. And today we've ridden 95k to exactly the point where I started the recon that I rode 2 weeks ago. So
now you've done the whole
I've
thing.
done the whole thing by a complete fluke. So yeah, it was good to see today. Quite interesting, but strangely similar to the original course in the fact that we're going a completely different way. The course is very, like, I think it'd be hard to try and find a more similar course.
Yeah, that's
like
what I was saying to you out there. I'm out here with JJ. It's a quiet moment, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, it's basically everyone is almost like a siesta time now. But it's for us, it's like a normal day. Just at lunch, and now we start working, preparing for tomorrow, and getting ready.
Getting the car ready and all that sort of stuff? All the wheels and all that stuff?
Yeah, just basically go through the bikes, and they're all been cleaned now, so final checks before tomorrow, and that's about it.
What's a final check involve? What do you got to actually do for a final check? Because shouldn't they be more or less ready to go?
Yeah, they're ready as is, but we just go through every bolt, every screw, just
every bolt.
Yeah, just double check everything is tight, everything is where it's supposed to be and on place, and so we're making sure everything, nothing go wrong. If the bike leaves you 100%, we know that's the way it's gonna go.
Do you have a checklist that you do on paper, or mentally you have a checklist? You start at the seat pole and you work down to the derailleur and you walk all the way up to the bars. Do you work it like that, or you just randomly just tighten every bolt?
Oh, just randomly. It's just like a mental checklist. You just go through and make sure everything is correct as it's supposed to be.
You looking forward to having a couple cold beers after Sanremo before the next race? You can sort of mentally reset?
Not really. We have to leave after the race. Have to drive to Dauphiné, meet up there. So obviously we'll sleep over tomorrow night at Avion, and then we'll leave the next day and arrive Sunday in Clermont-Ferrand, where the Dauphiné starts.
This is the glamorous life of the mechanic, everyone. Full on the road, working on bikes.
Yeah, that's about it.
Are you in the car tomorrow?
Yeah, it's my first Sanremo, so we've been watching it on the television, but now in the real race, and I'll see how it's gonna feel for 7 hours in the car.
Well, now you can watch the race in the car on the small TV, opposed to at home having a beer.
Yes, that's true.
Next up, veteran masseur, soigneur, Sophie. How are you approaching the day before the race? What are you looking for? What are you doing now? What are you preparing for tomorrow? And what is your day going to be like tomorrow? What are you doing now to prepare your day, make it easier?
So today we made all the bottle and the food, which is a lot of food actually, because we're not used to have 300 kilometers almost race. So I did a bunch of rice cakes this morning, and then
Wait, have you been making the rice cakes this week? I said that out on the bike the other day. I was like, who's been making these rice cakes? Because they have been phenomenal. No apple shining here. That's no word of a lie. They've been fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much. So yeah, tomorrow I make rice cakes. So I hope they're going to be as good as it was last week. And then
run us through a couple of flavors you're doing.
So tomorrow we're going to have some Oreo rice cakes, some cocoa, pineapple, and maple syrup. And then we have another one which is Philly and speculoos. What do you think about that?
They've been great. We've had those flavors this week, trialing them out. The consistency's been good. Not too sweet, not overly sweet, but enough flavor. Beautiful.
Perfect. Thanks, Mitch. So that's what we've been doing quite a lot. Way much more rice cakes than we normally do. And then
approximately how many rice cakes do you think you've done?
I think I done maybe like 60, 70 pieces of rice cakes.
And how many cups or kilos is that in rice?
So that's 3 kilos, more or less. Yeah.
What would you normally do?
Normally we do half of it. Yeah, half of everything. So yeah, tomorrow it's a big day. So obviously a lot of food, a lot of drinks as well. We got a bunch of water, bottles made.
How many bottles do you think you made for tomorrow? And how many would you normally make?
So tomorrow I think we made something like probably 250 bottles maybe. But last week in Strade Bianche we made like over 300 bottles. Yeah. And then normally, on summertime like this we always do 200, 250 minimum. Yeah.
And how many do you suspect that we'll use tomorrow normally?
Probably all, more or less. Yeah, I think so. Probably. And then a lot of ice as well. We have 50 kilo of ice. We need 50 kilos tomorrow.
Are you making ice socks for tomorrow?
Yes, we will. It's too hot.
And they're, just in case anyone doesn't know, they're ice shoved into a stocking, which we put down the back of our jersey on our neck. So then you're preparing that. You prepared the feed bags, 2 feed bags for tomorrow. What are you putting in the feed bags?
So normally we do only 1 feed zone. So tomorrow is 2 feed zones. It's more or less the same as normal. We put 2 kind of bars, 2 kind of gels, and then some of the famous rice cakes.
Did you put a little treat in there? Sometimes I like when you sneak a little, mini Mars bar or a mini Snickers.
I was thinking about it, but it's too hot, and then it might melt and everything, so it might be a bit messy. So no special, only the rice cakes. That's it. Sorry, Mitch.
So what are you doing tomorrow, and then what are you looking forward to doing tomorrow?
So tomorrow I'm pretty happy because I go to the start, I do the first feed, and then I go to the top of La Cipressa. So I'm really happy with that, and then I won't be at the finish because obviously we're not able to do it, but I'm exciting. I want to be at the top.
Have you been to the top of the Cipressa before?
It's my first Milan-Sanremo ever.
Is it?
Is it my first? Yeah. Yeah, first one.
So what are you going to hand out at the top of the Cipressa? Because that's going to be about around 20 kilometres to go. What's that, just going to be a bottle with a gel on it?
Yeah, a mixed bottle and a gel on it. And that's it.
And you're going to see the action there. That's what's going to happen.
Oh, that's why I want to go there. That's going to be cool, I think. Probably better than being at the finish. It's more like spectacular.
All right, we've just had our team meeting. It's the night before Milan-Sanremo in August. I've got Director Sportive here, Fabrizio Guidi, ex-professional himself, and we've just had our detailed meeting. Just quickly, Fabrizio, give me a little bit of background on what you think is the key points in Milan-Sanremo in the parkour, firstly, this year.
Milan-Sanremo is a race that decides more or less always on Poggio. It's easy. So the key point for sure is Poggio, but for the riders the key point is to manage 306 kilometers. That's the key point this year, especially with the weather, and that's not the same as in spring. And an unusual start when riders are just had to rebuild after lockdown and all the situation, crazy situation of this year. But anyway, we are happy to be here, and then let's see.
Did you think last week was a strange race? Okay, it was very hot, doing Strade Bianche in the heat, but did you think the race was very different because of the lockdown, because of the first race again, because it was in summer? Did you think Strade Bianche was a really different race watching it yourself?
Oh, actually, Strade Bianche decided on more or less like the past year, but it was not strange the way we raced. It was probably strange the riders we had in front. Someone was not expected, so it's a different season now, and probably even if the course would be the same, something will happen. We're gonna find some other riders in front also in Sanremo.
What do you think of the new course with the two new hills? We rode it the other day. You drove it. You got to see it. Do you think it's going to make any difference to the course, to previous Sanremos?
Every time you change a course and you do a 3 or 6, it actually looks like only 6 kilometers, but to add 6 kilometers in 300 at the end when everybody's tired. That can make a difference. We have no experience, so actually the climb, the first one, looks a little bit harder than Turquino, but it depends also how now the teams will manage the race. And there is another factor that we have to put into the account, is that we start with 6 riders, and that's also different, no? So let's see. It's a question mark more or less for everybody. It's important to have a plan, to stick to the plan, and then to be fast in case we need to change it.
What did you like about Milan-Sanremo as a professional yourself when you did this race? What were the parts that you really liked about it? What were the parts that you didn't like about it?
Milan-Sanremo, I mean, every riders in Italy, they dream about Milan-Sanremo now. It's something special. And the special parts that you are living your dream. The worst in Milan-Sanremo is when, and happens usually to me, but also to several riders, when the light switch off. And it's not because of power train. Sometimes it's this in this distance so long, if you are not able to manage, or sometimes if you're too young, sometimes if you do some mistakes, the lights simply switch off, and then you start to see the road moving left to right, and it's the end of the game. This is actually happened during the Capo Berta in the past, and there if you be competitive for the final or not. It's a little bit different, but we will have for sure someone with the light off.
Because also, like you said, there's going to be a dehydration factor as well. In the early part of the season, we still use a lot of water and we need to drink a lot, but I think a lot of guys might forget that tomorrow, or maybe it's a hassle to get bottles or whatever, but that's an important role. What, if you can predict what's going to happen tomorrow, a rough plan of the race, do you think it's going to be, run me through what you think it's going to be. Is it going to be a break of 4 going? Is it a break of 10? Is there going to be someone attacking on that first climb? Is it going to be solo victory? What do you think is going to happen tomorrow from start to finish?
Okay, from start to finish, for sure there are teams that will fight to put someone on the break in the start. It's so important for many teams to have someone in front. It's a work too. It's a monument. It's something important from point of view of sponsoring. There will be many attacks, but then after that, it's gonna be a problem to decide which teams has to work or wants to work, as it's not sure if sprinters has to work on a new course with this hot, or if it's gonna be all other riders that wants to attack. They will look like that probably there will be someone working as usually at the end of the game. And then we arrive in the final, and with this weather, this predictable also a smaller bunch, but anyway, Sanremo, or the good of Sanremo, is this is a race unpredictable. So who expect, for example, that Nibali drop everybody and win alone? That was already set as a sprinter race, but it changed. The situation, he went there and nobody was able to catch him. Sometimes it's a 30-35 rider sprint, sometimes just 9 or 3. So this is actually the good things of Sanremo. Not predictable, and probably we like Sanremo like this. So that's why I cannot say.
Any idea? What do you think? It's going to be a group of 10 with Simon helping Alberto out. What do you think? This podcast is coming out afterwards. So next week when Sanremo is finished, so no one's going to hear this until after the race. So you can actually pick it now.
I think that if we have a strong guy like Alberto in the final and a front group, he can do a really good sprint. But I think also that if the race is gonna go differently because of explosion, we can decide to anticipate. This is gonna happen in the race. We cannot decide before the race. But we have plan A and plan B.
Big day out, bud. 317k, the longest ride of my life.
I had 8 hours on the clock, ride time. I think it was 7.5 for us shit kickers at the back.
But we were saying it went by pretty fast because we've calloused the mind.
Like we said, 7 is the new 5, and we've done a lot of 7-hour rides. It's just another day out, really.
I'm pretty sure it was a lower TSS than our Tuesday ride.
For sure, I barely even cracked 3 under.
Right?
Yeah, I think I had 300.
I don't know what I had, but I know it wasn't that big.
Magnus, what do you think?
About today?
Yeah.
Oh, it's fucked. It's never fun to let the team down. Like, yeah, I got dropped before I had to do my job. That's kind of the worst thing you can do, I think. Getting support bottles all day, people help you out, and then you're not there.
But it was a different race. It was hot. That's something that you're not really good at in terms of your body doesn't react well in the heat. You told us early, so you weren't just suddenly sitting up. But like you said, it's not a great feeling, is it?
No, it's not. Yeah, I think the first 2-3 hours was alright, but then the temperature just kept crawling up, and yeah, it was really hot. I think low 30s I can get used to, but get up mid and high 30s, it's not for my body, I think.
All right, now we're in the car. We're departing Sanremo. A bit of a traffic jam getting out. This is the exodus when we leave the race. Everyone just goes their separate ways. So I'm with Lawson. I've got Sophie in here driving, Pascal in the back. They're going on to Dauphiné after they drop us off in Nice. But first of all, what do we think of the race? Sophie, how was your day?
Good. Pretty exciting. I liked it.
Yeah.
Hot. We have some good fun with Pascal. A lot of laugh. And then I was pretty happy to be at the top of the Cipressa, where everything happened, kinda. And then now we're driving.
What happened at the top of Cipressa? Give us a race blow-by-blow update at the top of the Cipressa. 2020 Milan-Sanremo. Here we go.
Oh, they were like... First rider were coming super fast all together, a lot of fight you could see, and then not much bottles been given because everybody was just going full gas. But it was nice to be there and see it live.
What were the faces like?
Concentrate, really concentrate.
Was there any like swearing or like, pushing, shoving, like, move out of the way, go?
Oh no, everybody was doing his own thing, trying to do his best, I think.
Was it pretty quiet on the Cipressa compared to normal? Or what you could imagine normal would be?
Yeah, I think it was way much quieter than it normally is. It was quite quiet, I think. For me, it was quiet.
Pascal, how was your day, mate?
My day, same like Soso. We go together. We went together.
But what was your opinion on the day? Soso's said her ideas. Are they the same or are they different?
For me today was so long, I think. More, I don't know if for the riders was the same, but we love a lot. I think the riders had another job there.
What was your favourite thing of the day? What was the one thing where you went, This is my favourite part of the day.
Favorite thing was the ice cream.
There's ice cream. There's something they're holding back here.
What happened there? What happened with the ice cream?
So it's traditional. It's quite traditional. You know, when it's hot those days, normally we stop at the gas station, we fill up the car, and like everybody knows, you find a nice ice cream fridge, and then normally we get a Magnum.
Did you today?
Oh yeah.
What Magnum did you get?
Oh, strawberry chocolate. Sorry, guys. Oh, I was so.
What did you get?
Calippo for me.
Calippo, boo!
No, I want the Calippo.
Yeah, but if I have the choice when I'm trying to really treat myself, I'm definitely probably going to go a white Magnum or a almond Magnum.
Yeah, but wait. You need to know. We don't eat only a Magnum during the day. We do eat quite a lot. So,
what did you eat today?
What did we got? So we started with some nuts. And then we went through a nice salad, pasta salad, which was really nice.
That was nice.
That was super spicy for us, but that was good. After that, we had a crostata. We got some biscuits, Nutella biscuits.
Oh yeah, those Nutella biscuits, they were nice.
We got the Magnum. So I think the day was pretty good, no?
Not a bad day. All right, Law Dog, the man of the race, the bottle man, collected a new world record for Sanremo, 68 bottles. How was your day, mate? You hold it.
One bottle right off the mark. What I was really going for. Sanremo was not. It's not hard. I mean, the way the break went today, we cruising, and you look down after maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours of racing, and you average like 170 watts. But the thing is, you're just out there all day. We had a 30-minute neutral today. We start the race, and you're just riding from basically just all day.
And like, it's fast.
It's not slow. It's a lot of those like kind of micro, like little sprints that you got to do to get back on the wheel where it's single file. And yeah, well, you look at it from a whole and you say, okay, it's not that hard, but all these things just add up. And then you add the heat in today. I wouldn't say you're stoked to finish this race.
What about the atmosphere compared to last year?
In the Peloton?
No, with the crowd and the...
Yeah, very different. I mean, I wouldn't say there was really that much of a crowd. Yeah, there's a sprinkle of people here and there, but it's just a strange year that we're racing in.
All right, it's the next morning, and now we start the eternal travel back. And I've run into Armin Jensen. You can leave your mask on if you like. He was part of the winning crew yesterday. And tell me about what your job was to get Walt to the finish line first.
I was just supposed to be there for him in the final, from Poggio until the finish line, and then do whatever had to be done. In the end, it was setting a pace on the Poggio to keep things a bit under control until really attacked.
Nice. You make it sound pretty easy. Just be with him from the Poggio to the finish line. That old chestnut, the last 4K after 302K. But you did it. You did it well. What was the atmosphere like in the bus last night?
It was really good, but it's still strange in a way with these times. It's not so easy to throw your plans around and start a celebration in Sanremo, have a party or something. It's not like it probably used to be. We had champagne. Champagne is French, so we had spumante in paper cups from the Jumbo. And Wout was making jokes on camera about how the Dutch don't spend money, which is a cultural. How do you say it in English?
It's deeply instilled in the culture.
Yeah. so we were drinking spumante from paper cups. That was nice.
Nice. It's been a great start for the season for the team. So, been a good feeling being a part of the team.
Yeah, it's going quite well, isn't it? It's nice to begin that way because you don't know where it ends this year.
All right, we're here at the airport. I'm with Dan McClay, my ex-teammate, but now Arkea team man. Tell me, mate, you and I seem to find ourselves at the bottom of the Cipressa doing the same job for a different person. Tell me what else happened yesterday for you.
Well, not a lot else happened really. It was warm, got baked out there for 7 hours in the heat, and then did a little turn into Cipressa, and then saw you right away from me as soon as we hit the slopes there.
I was just riding normal tempo.
Yeah, I can't do Mitch Docker normal tempo.
How did you find it, and how did the team find it yesterday? How was the team feeling once you got back in the bus? Was there a good feeling or sour feeling?
I think there was a bit of disappointment, but it's a race which only goes the sprinters' ways one time in 3, so it is how it is. And yeah, I think there were a few boys there who found it a bit harder than they thought. So yeah.
And how have you found racing again in terms of now with COVID and the protocols and all this sort of stuff that we were imagining for a few months how it's all going to be? Now we're actually doing it. How do you find it?
Yeah, I think it hasn't changed a lot apart from running around with the mask all the time and just being a bit wary of other people. But that aside, I don't think a huge amount's changed for me or my team. Yeah.
What about the atmosphere up the Cipressa and Poggio? Like, you've been there before, you've felt it. 1, it was summer, and 2, because of the restrictions now, did it feel completely different to other years?
Yeah, maybe there was less people, but by the time I get to the top, they're normally gone anyway, so yeah, I didn't notice too much.
And did the heat suit you yesterday? Is it something you enjoy, or was really a battle?
When I'm used to it, I'm not too bad in the heat, but at the same time, like over 300 Ks, it's always going to make it harder, and yeah, maybe like being a bit bigger is not the best thing in the heat.
Well, I thought you were looking pretty lean yesterday.
Yeah, everyone says it, but the scales still say the same.
Can talk or no?
Yeah, we can walk and talk.
We're walking and talking.
We're here with Uncle Rory. We've made it back to the other side. Finished our first block of racing, or first race for you, mate.
Yes.
First Sanremo as well.
Yeah. A lot of firsts. First race of the season. First race post-COVID. First race post broke my leg in half. And yeah, back first time doing that monument actually at 38.
How did it feel? Did it feel like a monument?
Not really. I think with all the changes, with all the measures that have come into place, etc., I think it's a different race than what it would normally be.
What did you enjoy about it yesterday? Being your first Sanremo, but also being back racing and in the sun. What were the things that you liked about it?
I think it was just cool for me personally, being back in kind of the Peloton, back into the group and seeing all the people that I know and all the riders that I haven't seen for such a long period of time. And then coming past, after stopping for a pee break, coming back through the Peloton and it's funny the age that you get to when you know more of the guys in the cars than you do in the directors and the mechanics than you actually do in the Peloton.
Were there some guys that you were like, you know what, I remember why I didn't miss you now?
Yeah, no, definitely. There are some of those guys, some people that don't like to break in corners, etc. But no, it was definitely there's good and bad, and I think one of the bad, of course, is that we've had all this time at home, and all of a sudden you in a controlled environment, and then you're in a race environment again, and having to chop people through corners, etc. And that's definitely different.
Just the speed of the bunch I found sort of nice. It felt good to go fast again.
Yeah, definitely. And for me, I haven't had that since October. And then being on a new bike, and we've got what was cool for me from going with UAE last year and the bikes we were on, they were not necessarily fast. And then to get on a really nice aero bike and sitting, I've ridden it at home, but I haven't ridden it in the Peloton. where you're getting pulled along by the group, and it was just, I was like kind of blown away. I'm like, oh, this is actually fast. But I think one of the big problems I had yesterday was being a first race as well. It was descending as well, of like not knowing how fast I could go through a corner anymore, because you're so used to having to be on the correct side of the road, and now you can cut the corners and things like that. That was a bit weird for me. Yeah.
And just not having, you don't have to take risks, and you don't take risks, well, most people don't, out training. And this, you sort of had to push it. You had to push, otherwise you just lost 3-4 positions, and ultimately that's the position that splits in front of you. So,
and that's kind of the thing with Milan-Sanremo, isn't it? It's so much of it, I wouldn't say is luck, but it is such a sprinter's race. You know, it's such a sprinter's classic that it is argy-bargy towards the finish, you know, and that's how you get position. If you don't have that top 20 spot going into the bottom of the Cipressa, I think you're out of the race, basically. You can't catch it back up again.
So now we're all done. We're just waiting for our bags to come. What's the movements from here, mate? What are you going to do this week? You got a cold beer waiting for you once you get home, got the kids. What's your feeling?
Yeah, you know, I'm going to head up to Andorra with the family today, and then get out of the extreme heat, I think, and back to the kids, back to the real world. And that's kind of what I guess I've missed both sides of that, being out of action. What we're doing is, you know, I love the cycling scene, but I love coming back to the family and just, you know, switching the head off, and of course have a cold beer. You know, that's especially with the heat, and sit out and have my happy hour at like 5-6 o'clock, and out on the balcony looking at the mountains. Andorra will be nice, but I go back on the road in like 4 days, and then back to, I think, Tour of Wallonie in Belgium. And but one thing I have to do tomorrow, of course, first thing, is to go get another test, another COVID test. Got another 2 of those this week before the next race, so that's part of the new. First you have the training plan, but you also have that plan.
So what do you reckon, Lionel? Did you feel like you were part of the team? Should I get some kit organised and send it out to you? Get yourself ready for the next race? What do you think?
Well, I'm actually wearing my Life in the Peloton t-shirt that you very kindly gave me in Girona last November. It's absolutely sweltering here in the UK at the moment, and just hearing about how hot it was for Strade Bianche, I mean, I really kind of felt that in a sort of visceral sense. I really felt like I was on that journey. I could sense sometimes that kind of confidence bordering on trepidation almost in the voices of the riders. Some not terribly sure. Obviously, it's a really weird year for everyone, but when you've got to go straight back in at a very high level and take on, first of all, a really intense race like Strade Bianche, and then a really long race like Milan-Sanremo. I mean, pretty much a baptism of fire after so long off, and that kind of came across. Everyone feeling their way back in. I got that sense from it.
Yeah, it was, and it was funny sort of sticking the microphone in their face. I wasn't too sure how my teammates would go with that, because, you know, it was a bit of a laughing thing, like I was a reporter and, you know, this is going to be your next job and all this sort of thing. But actually, a couple of them said they enjoyed it because I was able to relate to them, and they felt like they were talking to someone who was in the race, and I wasn't just talking to someone who had no idea. So I appreciated that fact. I really did appreciate all my teammates giving me that honest thoughts after the race. You know, when we finished these recons, I felt like I was pulling the recorder out every 2 seconds. But like I said at the start, it's been a really nice reflection listening back over this, and it's a nice period. I think it's, like you said, it's a strange period, and I'm really glad I captured this first week, because it's been great to document it for my own personal, you know, process to go through it and where we're at. And when I think about my ride at Strade Bianche and my ride at Sanremo, it was great to document what happened during that week and to try and work on and try and get a good performance in there, to leave sort of a good feeling coming away from those first 2 races.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously all watched the races on TV. I mean, both of them were fantastically entertaining in their different ways. But from your point of view, what was it like being back in the bunch, and how did you assess your performance in each of the 2 events?
I did struggle with the initial, and I mean the first 2-3 kilometres of Strade Bianche, and I'm talking about the neutral zone. It was very weird. We went to the start line with our masks on. That was a very weird thing. And you threw your masks off in these trash cans like at the start line, and we had this neutral zone from Siena, which is up on the top of a hill, and it's just, you race down this hill. I've never done Strade Bianche before, so I wasn't really ready for it, and it was really, like you said, a baptism of fire. You just like straight back into it, band-aid, rip it off, you're in. And I was in the neutral zone just going, stop thinking and just get into this. And when we finally had the first crash, like 10k into the race, I went, thank God that's over, and thank God I wasn't in it. Now everyone might be able to calm down. It wasn't the case, but it gave me the feeling like, okay, let's hit this first sector. And it really was a shock to the system. I can't think of a harder race to start with, apart from Paris-Roubaix or Tour of Flanders. It was a really hard race to do, but on the flip side, it's almost like we took a step back when we went to Sanremo. It felt super relaxed. It felt great to be in that race, when you could just ride yourself into it and just get the feeling of speed again, and the feel of the peloton, and just you're able to make some mistakes and make up for it. Strade Bianche, you made one mistake and you're out of that race. So it was two different races. It was great to be back in the peloton, and I think the best part about it was to feel the speed of the bunch again and the fast wheels and to be racing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was pretty dusty in Strade Bianche. I mean, you were talking a lot with the riders about just how hot it was, and with the course being so difficult, getting bottles and stuff. I mean, what was your role in the race, and how did you reflect? I mean, we heard you talking about getting back to the bus in time to see Alberto Bettiol in the mix and riding very strongly and very well, but not quite making it onto the podium. But what was kind of your role in the race, and what did you actually do?
So my role in both Strade and Sanremo was sort of Alberto's right-hand man, just sort of stick with him from kilometre 0 to, in Sanremo was to the bottom of Cipressa, and in Strade Bianche it was supposed to be after the 6th sector. But unfortunately for me, I punctured on the 2nd sector. And to be honest, I really didn't think anything of it. I thought, yeah, cool, got a puncture, I'm going to change that wheel, it's plenty of time, get back. Totally underestimated what it is like to be in the convoy behind the cars on the gravel. Oh my gosh, it was crazy. You could not see a thing. I heard in the radio, Woodsy, don't worry, you're with Nibali. If you get with Nibali, you'll get back. And I thought, hang on, if I can get to Woodsy and Nibali, they've punctured on Sector 4. If I can get to them, I can maybe get back to the peloton, because I was losing time on the peloton just on the gravel. You could not go fast. I finally got back to Woodsy and Nibali. They towed me back. Peter Weening towed Nibali back to the peloton. And at that point there, I underestimated the heat. I thought, you know what, I'm back in the race. Great, let's do it. I'd spent a few bullets. I spent one bullet trying to get back. But that was actually my only bullet. That was my golden bullet. I think that's what everyone only really had, one golden bullet on the day. The big guys maybe had a couple of extra hidden bullets there, but us normal guys had one bullet. I used mine just in the gravel trying to get back to the peloton. And ultimately, when I came to the next sector, I was out the arse. It was a sad sort of story, but it's the way it went for a lot of guys, whether they used it getting from a punch or whether they simply used it just following the peloton. I think we definitely underestimated the heat, and once your heart rate went up to 180, 190 beats, you weren't recovering. When I think about the next race, Sanremo, I was pretty determined to try and turn that around personally, and I was very happy with myself to be able to just simply do my job, help Alberto into the Cipressa, which is an important role in such a race, where the race really kicks off, and ultimately we didn't get the result we're looking for, but we put him in the final, and ultimately you can just only hope for the best from there.
And what was it like getting back to racing and getting away from home and existing in this bubble because of coronavirus? Obviously, you're not able to do all of the things that you would normally do. I guess, maybe in the spring classics, obviously you would stay in Belgium or northern France between the big events, but mainly because there'd be something on in the midweek. But you might have been tempted to swap the roster around a bit, or the team bosses might have been tempted to swap the roster around a bit between Strade Bianche and Milan-Sanremo. But because of coronavirus, you effectively had to go into the bubble and stay there. Was it as weird as it sounded at points in the podcast you've just made?
I think it was pretty weird for me, but at the end of the day, I could still see the light at the end of the tunnel, and ultimately I'd been at home for so long that a week away was pretty okay. At the end of the week, by the time we went to Milan, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be home in a couple of days. That's okay. But for guys like Woodsy and, you know, Simon Clark, they're going on to Lombardia. Following Lombardia, they're going up to Andorra into a camp and potentially onto the Tour de France. For me, that would be a very overwhelming feeling, just knowing you're on the road for so long and these protocols make it feel like a pressure cooker. You can't just simply do things like, you know what, I'm just going to go for a recovery ride on my own. I'm going to stop at a coffee shop. I'm going to read the paper, do whatever. You really got to be with everyone all the time. You got to come back, stay in the hotel, go to your room on your own. And it might sound pretty easy on the outside, but I tell you what, you do that for a little while and it does build up on you under this race sort of pressure environment. I did get that feeling towards the end of the first week, but I was able to escape and get back home. And I know Woodsy and Clarkey, they're on the beginning of a long haul. So I feel for those guys. And look, at the end of the day, our team is doing the right steps. They're really taking the safe side of things. So it's a double-edged sword. You know, we're trying to keep very safe, but you got to take into side that psychological factor in these times.
So it sounds like the guys who are going to be challenging for the Grand Tours are going to be tested even to an even greater degree mentally as well as physically. Of course, it's going to, some back-to-back races, training camps into the Tour. We always joke that the Tour de France and well, all of the Grand Tours, they're kind of 4 weeks long, really, aren't they? Because you get in there so early and you're building up to the start of a Grand Tour. But in this strange season, riders are pretty much on duty 6, maybe 7, maybe 8 weeks. It's quite extraordinary.
It is extraordinary because, like, it's just starting a Grand Tour when you're sort of a little bit mentally tired, you know, and you don't really want to get to that stage until you're in the last week, you know, in the last few days. It's definitely going to be very interesting. I think, you know, even like we said, Woodsy potentially could go on to do the Worlds afterwards and then try and hit his peak in Liège-Bastogne-Liège after all that. As I'm sort of aware after all this time, it's very physical, but I think it's a lot more psychological in the professional sport, especially in cycling. So if people can keep their heads on this, no one's going to really understand what guys have done to achieve these results in this lockdown or in this bubble sort of period to get these results. So I think it's going to be underestimated, these results in this period as well.
And what's your next race then? Because you're not doing Lombardy this weekend.
I'm not. No, I'm potentially on Plouay in a few weeks' time, or I could actually have a big sit out and the next race I could be doing is the Giro. Also, I could also be doing the Classics program. You know, it's all up in the air. That's the thing too. We just don't know what's going on. And with all the riders, they've sort of got the riders spread over a couple of programs to see who's going to be well, who's testing well in terms of COVID, and who also has form. That's another thing as well, because like we said, it's this weird period we saw with Logan. Unfortunately, his form hadn't peaked up just at the right time, so they put someone else in his spot. So I think that could be a common occurrence when people just don't have that right form at the right time. There's going to be a lot of people around who are fit as well, and they just replace people and pull people out and swap people around all the time.
Well, it's a fascinating listen, and I did feel like I was tucked away in, I don't know, the overhead locker in the EF Pro Cycling bus at points, or lurking by the pool, more likely lurking by the pool at the Villa with a beer, to be honest, in my case.
I think, like, we got to give credit to Will Jones here, who's put this together. You know, at the end of the day, I made 32 little recordings from the week. I tell you what, it must have been hell. I was just sending all these little recordings in. He's just like, mate, would you stop sending recordings in? This is not a 10-hour podcast. So he's done an amazing job to put this together for you guys. I've listened to it a couple of times just to get the feeling. And even though, like I said, even though I was there all week, it's a great listen. I hope you guys really enjoyed this. Lionel, was there anything else you wanted to add to this podcast before we sign out?
I just wanted to mention that the music was by Amaratera, which is a band, a folk band, really, Italian folk band from the Puglia region of Italy down in the south. And their music graces our podcast on the Cycling Podcast during the Giro d'Italia. And because of the Italian flavour to your week, we thought it would be the appropriate bridge between recordings. And I thought we'll use the music really beautifully.
Great. Well, guys, I've got an awesome Talking Luft next week. Go across and have a listen to that. Alberto Bettiol, he's got some pretty good Luft stories. I hope you enjoyed it. And until then, cheers, guys. You have been listening to Life in the Peloton. The producer of this episode was Will Jones. The music in this episode was composed by Pete Shelley. Thanks, mate.